There we go. Yeah. So and it seems like it does. It seems like your bow arm is pretty freed up. Except that it's a little bit trepidatious, I think, because you're trying to get the accent right.
Mm.
Okay, so it's a little bit hesitant, and the one thing that I'm going to tell you is like for getting the accent right. So first of all, playing in tune really nicely, and in time, it's you had really nice interpretation of the rhythm and everything. Was I thought it was really good. What could be better is first of all, I want you to try playing it next time you play it. I want you to try playing it with no vibrato.
Okay. Yeah, I know I do that too
Yeah,
much. I know I do too much.
it's just a little bit, but it's not even like you use whatever you want, of course. But in our tradition, we don't use a whole lot, especially fiddle players. So it would sound a little bit at the end. My brother Sean used to call it swelling into it. So see that? So a little bit of a wiggle at the end of the note, and to speed up the bow as you do it. That's
Okay.
really kind of it's going to kind of give it more of that accent. Now you were trying some grace notes in there, and it felt like it was a little bit confused as to what to do about grace notes. And now let me see what I would. Excuse me, what I would do. Oh, you sent music, didn't you? Let me see here. Okay, so. So I'm thinking like I don't know if you've ever experimented with sliding into notes, but that might be an idea.
Okay.
And when we slide into notes in the Gaelic world, as opposed to the bluegrass world, it's not really a pitch slide like this. It's more of a pressure slide with your finger pressure. See that? Yeah, and again, the speed of the bow is really what does it. You hear that?
Hmm.
I always say when you get that pressure slide where you have like when you're behind the note, when you're flat of the note, it's a non-note. You hear how it's kind of like not speaking. It's kind of
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
choky. And then as I bring the pressure in, the note comes to life. See that until I have full pressure and full speed, and then the way I describe it is it's the old fella in the bar in Ireland that's silent for most of the night. And he's got his pint and he's over it like this, and then you play a tune, and out of nowhere he just goes, "Woo!" That's I've experienced that many times, and that's what
Mm.
you're making it like. You're making the note come to life in a big Celtic whoop, you know. So that you could do with a bit of that for sure. I always do this grace note when I go from one to open on any string. See that? So there's a few opportunities you can do that. And it's a very common thing as well. There's also some double stops. See what I mean there? Yeah, so you can play around with that as well. But otherwise, I thought it was a really nice rendition. Could use a
Yeah.
little less vibrato, a little bit more of an accent, and but otherwise, your intonation is great and the sound quality is good. Now, the sound
Okay.
quality could be better with a more willing bow, but like I said, when
Okay.
you get more comfortable with the style, I think the bow arm will kind of free up a little bit.
By more willing bow, you mean like just using more of my bow, or just more
Using
like
more of it,
how?
yes. I'm always saying that. One my beginner class guy who gave me a shirt for my birthday last year that says "more bow" on it, because to save me saying it all the time. But also just to get it started a little bit more immediately. So it was kind of like to kind of mimic. I mean, I could show you your own video, but to kind of mimic it is kind of like instead of. See
Okay,
what I mean by
got it.
that? Just a little hesitation there, and I
Hmm.
find that that is kind of what makes for the difference between a real strong player and somebody that's not so strong is that tiny bit of hesitation.
Okay, interesting. Okay,
Make
good to know.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I have this thing about my shoulder gets tense, and then when my shoulder gets tense, my elbow starts going back, and I almost have to kind of like like remind myself. I actually noticed this at playing at sessions because I play for a while and it starts doing that, and then the last thing I notice is the sound quality starts getting like really kind of like
Cranky.
like the kind of grainy, airy, sort of like whistly and like oh and then it's like what's going on, it's like it's not I'm not going parallel or perpendicular anymore, and then it's like it all comes back from the shoulder. So but that's like always I remember like when I was a kid I always had that problem too. It was always my teacher was always touching my shoulder to
To get
remind
it
me
to
to loosen my
relax.
shoulder. Yeah, just
Yeah.
relax my shoulder. Yeah, yeah.
Now, are you a person that is aware of your breathing while you're playing?
Oh no, probably not.
Okay. Most people play with their breath held, or at least their breath kind of tense. You wouldn't believe what it does for the down bow and for the relaxation. I have to do it too. For me, it's always the left arm. That's what gets tense for me. Now it's interesting. You're talking about. There's not many people that complain about their right arm. I gotta say, in terms of the repetitive strain. I
Hmm.
can only think of a couple. Like most of the violinists and fiddle players that I know, it's always the left arm because it's this what a massage therapist told me once. She calls the terrible twist of playing the
Oh
fiddle.
yeah, like you
Awful.
screw. It's like screw it. You have to screw a light bulb in, and keep your hand like that because it's like totally natural to keep your hand like that after you screw a
Oh,
light bulb in, right?
well, I always
Just
say,
freeze your.
that the Japanese soldiers used to make the American POWs hold their arm up like this for hours for torture. We do it willingly, right? So anyway, so it's always the left for me, but my brother Sean, he has right arm problems. He's had his arm in a sling twice, severe tendonitis. Okay, so the breathing thing, most people don't breathe when they play, and the way to get the breathing started when you play. Now, first of all, you got to be aware, right? You might be having not a problem with that, but it could help. This could really help. Anyway. But to see if you're breathing, if you're not breathing, if you're holding your breath, then they used to say that you try to exhale at the next available down bow. See that?
Hmm, interesting. Okay.
So you got a big down bow coming, and you try to whatever breath you have, you try to. And I'm going to tell you, man, I've done it with people. You wouldn't believe what a down bow you can get when you do that.
Hmm.
Moves freely, moves clearly, and in a straight line. It's just you're not getting in the way. See what I mean? Um, and then once you exhale, it starts the process of breathing again. So I read that. It's a Royal Conservatory thing, but I have done it, and it does
Hmm.
work. Because for me, I
Hmm.
always talk about hour three of the dance. That's when I'm getting real tired, and the tension starts to come in, and I have to remember to breathe. So I concentrate on breathing. I also concentrate on not letting my left arm, because that's my problem. Not letting my left arm be going like this while I play, because that's what happens when I get tired. And I can feel there's the skin on the side of my hand pulls, and I know that that's happening. So I gotta try to be conscious of that and relax back to place.
Yeah.
So everybody has these little things that they battle. You just got to figure out how to battle them.
Hmm. Hmm. Fair. Yeah. It's just like it was for me. It was insightful just playing for a long period of time with very short breaks that you never do actually in classical music really like even when you play in orchestra most of the time you're listening to the conductor and then you but I even didn't even play much with in orchestra. I mean unless you're like a professional level then you obviously pay much on it but you know I would never really it would never come up for me so anyway yeah that was
Absolutely.
really
No, I know.
interesting.
And it's something that I work on actually also with the beginners and with my orchestra is stamina to get through a set of tunes. And sometimes you need little markers to get you through sets of tunes, like little things that you're looking forward to. For me, it's always key changes. I remember one time with the Irish dancing show, we had this one dance, and it had at the end of it, it's a dance. It's a set dance called St. Patrick's Day, and it's kind of a boring tune. I'll play it for you. So they were using the dance from that for this particular number, right? And but they were always complaining. DMAC, they called me DMAC. DMAC, can we cut one tune out of that set? It's too long and boring, you know. And so I was always like, no, we can't cut a tune. No, we can't cut a tune. And then one day they were like, can we cut that tune? And I was like, I got a new tune. And that did the trick. You know, he changed keys and everybody's feet went a little higher off the floor. It was all good, you know. So sometimes that's all you need. You just need something to look forward to in terms of a key change or
Uh-huh.
something like that. But for me, it's always like number one, breathing and just trying to feel relaxed, and you'll get through it. Yeah. And
Great,
how are
thank
you
you.
doing,
Yeah.
David? How's your fiddling going?
Well, I'll tell you, Paul's ahead of me, okay, which is not unusual. Paul seems to be ahead of me most of the time. So, but because
I
I
don't know
haven't
about
done
that.
yeah, I haven't done the video yet.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it this week if you like,
Oh, sure.
and uh, and get it to you. Because when we missed the week last week, it kind of threw me off a
Oh, yeah.
little bit in terms of, well, what should I be doing kind of thing. And so that's one thing you don't want to do with me because sometimes I'll go off in a direction that maybe I shouldn't be going off on. So what I did was I started to concentrate on reels
Oh, good.
this week. Okay, so I went through uh, the Sandy tunes that you've given us.
Yeah.
And I basically concentrated on four of them for most of the week.
Okay.
Okay, that's the three wedding reels, and also Sandy McIntyre's trip to Boston.
Oh, what a great tune.
Okay, now I found that you did a video on that about a year ago, and so I watched your video because with me I always reels, I never know how to bow them,
Yeah.
kind of thing. I mean, if a reel, if you figure each measure is like eight eighth notes, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, you know, you can do, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, you know, or you can do, I saw one guy on Facebook the other day did them in pairs, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. He did the whole song like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, and nah, I don't want
I
to do that.
wouldn't. I wouldn't do it like that. I wouldn't make anybody dance.
No, no. And speaking of dance, I watched now. What's her name? Um, Scottish film, and she does teaching online.
Oh yeah, I can't remember it. Scottish woman. There's a whole bunch of them, but I know who you're talking
Anyway,
about.
she did a little tape on doing reels, but doing them in such a way as to get dancers up on the floor.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And in the Scottish context, she was emphasizing putting your stresses on beats one, four, and seven of those eighth notes. That sort of thing. And so that's what I've been trying to do this week, doing those reels. Now, you can't do it with every measure.
No, and all of that kind of thing that represents a feel. So it's like you're not kind of it's not a rule book type thing. It's just a way
No, no, no,
for you
no,
to
no.
feel, and it's like you're doing it most of the time. Now I like with the downbeat because they're talking about the downbeat, right? Uh, and and you know the downbeat is very important, but I find if you want to get arses moving, backbeat is king. So if you're talking about say the Cape Breton wedding reel, so yeah, so and there's a couple of ways to bow. That's the other thing. Like, I mean, there's a million ways to bow, but there's two kind of main ways in the Scottish Irish thing to bow through a reel, and that's the single bowed way, like they're doing Cape Breton, like you were mentioning there, David,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, and uh, and there's the kind of long bow way that the Irish guys do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I kind of do a combo. Most of us do a combo of both, you know. There's
Yeah.
a few little elements and stuff you can get, but this is what I find works the best. And I do play a lot of dances. I play all the dances here in Toronto. The Scottish ones, the Irish ones, the contra dances, the dancing hippies from U of T. I do them all.
Yeah.
And I find this works for pretty well everybody. This is a new student. Her name is Lisa. She's in Pennsylvania. She's into the Cape Breton. So if I was to take the wedding reels, the first one called John O'Banion. So that's kind of the single bowed way to do it. You see that?
Yeah. Yeah. Now
That's how
that's
you
that,
do it.
as you say, that's generally speaking the Cape Breton way of doing it is single bowing.
Generally, and it's kind of tough. Like it's easy, but it's tough. It's easy because you're just going back and forth, right? Like you're just going one and two and three and four and down up down up down up. But I call it downy uppy. But then the problem is that you get two accents that way, and you have to mitigate that. So you're kind of because you're single bowing it, you're kind of going. So and that gives you the good accent there. Get down to the end of the bow on B2. But then I got to get back up on the end of 2 without it being accented. See how I do that? And that's kind of
Yeah.
just, I don't know how I ended up doing it, but I just noticed that that's what I do. And so, what it is, how I do that is that I chomp her down for that down bow. And then when I do the up bow, I lighten right up on it so that it comes up without a whole lot of string engagement. And then,
Yeah.
you know, that's just from doing it over the years.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that
Hmm.
seems to be what belts out that backbeat. But you can hear the downbeat is still there very strongly, you know. And the other
Mm-hmm.
thing is that the downbeat, you got your foot to go with it, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of strengthens it as well. So now the Irish way of doing it, and the interesting thing is this tune, John O'Banion, is an Irish tune, the Cape Breton Wedding Reel #1. But check this out. See that? Now that's kind of
Yeah. That's like a Georgia shuffle
yeah. It's
kind of thing.
basically it's kind of it's they call it the
Yeah.
longbow,
Yeah.
and now that was an exaggerated example because you know nobody ever does it through the whole thing. You know what I mean?
No. 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 You
But
can't.
you can't and you shouldn't because it turns it into a It turns it into something that lacks kind of the lyricalness of whatever you're playing. Now,
Yeah,
the thing is that you do that rhythm, that underlying rhythm, but then you mix it with all the bowing elements that the tune throws at you. You
yeah,
know, whether it's double note grace notes or big extended rolls that you got to turn around your bow around, and that's what kind of brings the tune its personality. But
yeah.
so I find that although the downbeat is very important and you got to belt that out, the 2 and the 4 is the king of getting the arses moving on the dance floor.
2 and the 4.
2 and the 4, yep. And that's pretty well, like I said, that's pretty well across the board with all the dances that I play. Certainly in the Irish, no question about that. In the Scottish, yeah, I mean, there's way more of a pronounced downbeat in the Scottish. No question about that. Especially if you're talking about the Scottish country dances. That's like next level frumpiness, man. They're all about the downbeat. They're all about the everything square, neat, and tidy. You play 4 bars of music for them to get in place.
Okay, so when you're talking about 2 and 4, again, going back to those 8/8 notes, you're talking about 3 and 7, and basically, got to think about that.
Oh, if you were to count it like that, but I never would. Yeah, it's I'm a proud user of the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you're talking about two
Okay,
and
yeah, that
four.
works. That works. Yeah,
Yeah. And then if you're talking about the end, it's the end of 2 or the end of 4, right?
yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
the nice thing about longbow, and like I said, like if you looked at any of the great players, you'll see pretty well a combination of that, longbow and the straight up single bowed
Yeah,
approach. Uh, and but if you work on the longbow on its own, it seems to force the issue for most people just by virtue of playing a reel with everything in the up bow except the backbeat. The rhythm works. The rhythm happens. It's
Mm.
kind of like learning a language phonetically. If you just, with German, because I remember I toured in Germany and I used to talk to the audience in German, and I worked on it with my German tour manager, and she told me German's easy. Pronounce everything you see, and you'll make the right sound, and you'll get a beer at the bar.
yeah,
And sure enough, it was true. Like, and this bowing pattern is very much like that. If you do it like that, you will hear a backbeat, and you will feel a backbeat. More importantly, so with some people, especially what I call white people, I have to do that. I have to kind of force the issue. I got make them bow a tune completely long bow, especially if it's one that you're very very familiar with. That's the best
yeah,
way to do it.
yeah,
And number two, if it's a tune that's mostly eighth notes, because as soon as you get into quarter notes and dotted quarter notes, it messes with your bowing pattern. So if you have a tune that you know really well and it's all eighth notes, you can try doing this long bow thing and it'll give you a backbeat.
yeah. Well, there was one tune a few weeks ago that I was doing that the tune that I was doing the Georgia Shuffle on, which is like
Yeah,
your backbeat bowing.
yeah.
And I was just trying to find it right now. I've got 2 books here, and they're all full of tunes, and I'm not sure where the one is that I was working on. But anyway, and I was using the Georgia Shuffle on that, and it worked really well.
It works really
Worked
well.
really,
Yeah.
really well. But as I think you told me at the time, as you say it, that one type of bowing doesn't work for everything all the time.
Now check this out. So I have this pattern. I think I might have showed this pattern to you, Lisa. This bowing pattern at your lesson. But this is alternating. Oh well. First of all, here's the pattern. So you understand how that a pattern like that would work?
I was trying to follow you visually, but I couldn't make out. Slow it down a bit. I can't see what you're doing.
can move up a scale that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, if you get that pattern, you don't have to think about the tune. You can just kind of put your fingers on autopilot. And then you can work on these two bowing patterns. So here's the alternating. Okay, here's the
Yeah,
long bow. Here's alternating.
yeah.
See that? That's the and you're hearing now. You're hearing a very familiar kind of sound and rhythm, right? It's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
most of us do in this Scottish and Irish business. So that
Oh,
really seems to snap it in. And then once you get the hang of it, every reel you play, you'll be doing it like that.
okay, well, that's tremendous. That's
And it's on the
tremendous. Thank you.
YouTube channel.
Thank you. That will help a great deal.
Good.
Yeah.
Now I remember we were doing a tune. The class before you guys joined, we're doing a tune called "The Wise Maid" with that alternating bow, or sorry, with that long bow, and it was hard for a few of them, but they did end up getting it, and that's also on the YouTube channel. And I actually have the music written out with the bowing written
Yeah.
in there, longbow style, if you're a person that needs that.
I'm a person that needs all the help I can get.
I
Okay, let's put it
understand.
that way.
So I'll try to remember to send that to you.
Okay, okay, that's cool. Thank you.
Now, how's your fiddling going there, Lisa? These guys have just been yakking about their fiddling attempts for the last half hour. How's yours going? And this is Paul and David, by the way.
Hi,
Hi,
Lisa.
Hi,
hi,
Lisa.
nice to meet you all. That tip that you gave me about the emphasizing the one and I think it was the four. I've been just doing a lot of jigs and trying to apply that, and it's made a big difference. So thank you.
Oh, good. That is great. That's the jig rhythm. Yeah, that
They
does
sound
that. Yeah, that opens the door for a lot of people.
they sound more jiggy, jig-like.
That's great. Excellent.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Okay, so since there's just three of us tonight, there's a few people missing. Let's practice and let's put all that stuff into practice. So we'll pick a reel from everybody and we'll pick a jig for Julia and we'll just grind away at it. Okay,
Okay.
and we'll wind up a little bit earlier too, because there's only a few of you. So let's see. We'll start with Paul. Paul, pick a reel. Something that
Oh, P reels.
something that you already kind of know. Like, so that you're not going to be wondering what's coming next, so that you can concentrate on what your bow is doing.
Um, I mean, I honestly really only know three reels.
Okay, that's awesome.
One of which I learned uh, John Brennan's that we learned a couple of
Yeah,
classes ago.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then like I honestly like I feel like I know
Oh,
no reels because I can't play any of them at session speed.
that's right.
So
That's right. Yeah. So
Drowsy
I'm
Maggie,
sorry,
not
Paul. I'm
even
sorry.
close.
But when you mentioned John Brennan's, that's the one I did
The
um
longbow.
that's the one I did the long bow with. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
Okay.
that's a
nice.
really good one to do it with.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Okay,
let's do
so yeah, so
that.
basically, okay, there you go. Okay, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Now, in terms of speed, tempo is always a big factor with everybody. There's a couple of factors with tempo. And do you find, Paul, that you have a breaking point? Do you find that there's a tempo that where if you try to play past that tempo, it's not working anymore?
um, yes, I don't know what the tempo is because I don't really play with the practice of the metronome. I know I really should be, but
So would it be about
probably around 100.
is always say you're doing good then? For most
Well,
people, it's like kind of like I'll show you here. I got a metronome right here. So for most people, they do good until about here. And then after that, it starts to kind of be really hard to keep up. Really, it starts to break down. So that's about 85 to 90. So if you're at 100, you're doing pretty good. You're only about 10 points away from a real tempo.
Yeah.
See that?
Mhm.
So that's not too bad. Does that sound like about the tempo where you start to lose it?
Yes, I would say, yeah, about at 100, yeah, about at 100. I mean, I certainly try to start at 85. I mean, it depends on the piece as well. Like I feel like compared to Drowsy Maggie, it's like it's actually I find it harder than John Brennan's, but I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong. But
You find
Drowsy
Drowsy
Maggie,
Maggie
but
harder?
yeah, but I mean also like is that one just played on an insane tempo or something, or is that like
Drowsy is
because
usually, yes, Drowsy
okay.
Maggie is usually because it is a very common tune. You guys play that tune, right? Lisa and David, you guys play Drowsy Maggie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Long time ago.
everybody
Yeah.
does. Everybody does. And yes, it gets really because everybody plays it, and it's usually one of the first ones that people learn. Uh, People play it really fast, yeah. And it's also a bowing trick. Watch this. Drowsy Maggie, my God. Not to be confused with Sleepy Maggie. Different tune, different key. Okay, so I'm going to play Drowsy Maggie now really fast. And I want you to watch what my bow does. Okay, do you notice anything? Not
Well, a
really?
lot of up bows. A lot of up
Yeah,
bows at the
a
beginning of
lot
the
of
measure.
uploads. Very good there, David. Oh, whoops. So here's what's going on. So for the first part of Drowsy Maggie, I start on an up bow. You see that? You see that little move there? That's a classic move. I can think of 100 tunes that do it. So I do the up bow, and then I'm in the perfect spot in the bow. I can just use my hand here, and I don't move my finger. I got it on down on 2 strings. See that? And then a little bit of motion, and it comes off like falling off a log. And that's a very specific lick. Okay? So it's up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then you can hook it together with the next one. With a big roll. See that? And then you hook it up with the next one as well. So let me show you that slow. And then I do a great big roll down. It's kind of like my little relief rest. See that? And then I'm back to my move. Whew. See that? Now that was like 2 moves, and you get all that music out of it. And then in the second part, it's similar. Oh. Did you see how all that worked there? A few moves get you through that tune fast. Do you see what I mean? The biggest thing that I recommend, though, is leaving the hand down. Look at my left hand now when I play Drowsy Maggie. I'll try try it from this side. Oh yeah, way better.
Mhm.
You notice how my first finger stays there for most of it, eh? And then in
Mhm.
the second part, the third finger. See that? And my bow is lazy too. You getting the idea?
Yeah. So the other
Yeah.
thing too, I noticed with the bow. Sorry, just to quickly go back to the bow.
Yeah.
When you were playing it fast, the string crossing, the kind of the movement, the up and down movement, you weren't like it wasn't like going. I don't know. It always seems it's like, at least for me, and I've seen, I don't know, just like, but it goes up and like
None of
a
that.
lot, and you were just like very slightly, and it was like, yeah, that was another thing that.
To improve that. Now, so that you don't need your elbow to change strings. You shouldn't use your elbow to change
Right.
strings. Your elbow pretty well stays where it should be. Now, I always like to point out the Hoyle, the Royal Conservatory Hoyle, about the right elbow. And first of all, I always use my dad's teacher's joke. So you don't hold your elbow tight to your body. You don't hold it up like this. You stand as if you're normal. Little joke there. I slip in all the time. Anyway, so as if you were normal. And then with the Royal Conservatory, they used to say if you're playing on the low half of the fiddle, which is the G, D, A, they call that the low side of the fiddle, then your elbow can raise up, your hand goes over there, and your elbow can raise up to meet it a half an inch.
Mhm.
And then as you work your way over to the high side of the fiddle, your hand goes over there first, and your elbow can come down again a half an inch. That's all they used to say, and always following the hand. So I
Right.
use Big John McNeil as an example all the time. So watch my hand and watch my elbow. So you see how my hand went down there and my elbow came up to follow to make it more comfortable? And then my hand moves all the way over to the high side and my elbow comes down to make it more comfortable. See that? So that's as much as they used to say you're allowed to use your elbow. I find it good to completely isolate the elbow. So use the doorway or use, did I show you about the doorway?
Yeah.
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 It sounds like that's what you need. I think it's going to help your shoulder problem too.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, so that's what really makes the difference there. If you and especially Drowsy Maggie, you're going between D and A. That's not even barely even a string change. And in fact, I don't even leave the D string, right, when I play it. Because I like the double stops. See that?
Oh.
See that? D and A is almost exactly the same plane of motion, right? Now, check this out. G and the D, I'm an Englishman drinking a cup of tea. See that? A and E, I'm a chicken wing. See that? That's how I go from string to string. Just like this. Not like this, but just
Yeah.
like this. And for playing the fiddle, you don't need any more than that. Also, here's an exercise. Now, that exercise is really good for practicing changing strings as long as you do it with your eyes on it. Because if you're just doing this, it's not going to do you any good at all. And it's really hard to notice that when you're practicing on your right hand, like it's because it's hard to see it and stuff. So it's good to do it in front of the mirror. Something, anything. A spouse. I have one lady, her husband David plays the flute, and he's this English guy. And I saw him at a session, and he was like, "Well, you tell Zuzia that I should watch her right arm, and now I'm watching her right arm all day long. So anyway, something to make sure you're doing that. Okay. Anyway, Drowsy Maggie's a great start. Let's give that a go, people. Now, David, you had your finger up for a second there.
I forget why though.
Okay. Let's give Drowsy Maggie a crack. Somewhere in that tempo range. I'll give you a good count in. And let's do it a good, say, 4 times, because it's a single.
Okay, I'm not gonna play, I'm just gonna watch. Okay.
No problem, man.
Yep.
You can play along to it anytime you want. 1, 2, 3, and. One more. Now let's see what tempo that was. Anybody have a guess?
Wasn't
Was
too
it
fast.
100?
Was that 100? Really?
No, it was not 100. It was 95. And that's really, I find, a useful tempo. I find 95 to be the most useful tempo. You're basically 15 to 20 points away from dance tempo when you're playing at 95. It's not that far off. Okay? And it gives you the opportunity to get rhythm in. Could you hear rhythm when I was doing that at 95? It was very present, right? And it gives you a chance to practice it. So when the tempo goes up, you have a chance of doing it. So I would suggest you practice that at that around that tempo, Paul. And next time we're going to see what's in your way when we try to go faster. What's the first thing that happens? Okay. Great tune though. Now, how about you, David? You want to practice? What do you call it? John O'Banion. Shall we? Now, Paul, have you got this tune?
I do.
Banyan or Brennan? Banyan. No, I don't have Banyan.
John Brennan.
Oh, they're Cape Breton Wedding Reel #1.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay.
That's what it's called. It's actually called John.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, just hang on.
There, Paul.
You gotta switch my book here. Yep.
Okay.
So you're going to email it?
Doing it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
I don't have that one either.
Oh no, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Hey, are you aware of that one there, Lisa? Have you heard of that tune before?
No, I have not. This one's new to me.
Have you heard of the Cape Breton Wedding Reels?
No.
You have?
No.
Okay, well, this is the first one. This is the Cape Breton Wedding Reel #1. Here we go. Oh, that's somebody playing it. Okay, let's see here. I might not have it on hand.
We can go back to John Brennan.
Let's just go back to John Brennan. That's a good idea. We'll work on that next
You're
time.
going to get us back to John Brennan, Paul, one way or the other.
Let's see. Yeah, no, back to
Good.
John Brennan. Now, do you play that one, Lisa? John Brennan's or the Silver Spire?
I've played the Silver Spire before, but I didn't know it as John Brennan. So is that the same tune?
Yep, it's the same tune. They have multiple names. They use aliases because of tax purposes. So. That one there. Okay, let's give that a go. I love this tune. It's a tune that I use to test a fiddle when I want to see if it's any good because I help people buy fiddles. I shouldn't say I don't really play the first part of it to test the fiddle, but I play the second part because it uses the whole fiddle. So this is my usual fiddle testing lick. So that's kind of two different tunes. That's the B part from John Brennan's and the A part from a tune called Kieran Torish. And I find if I play those two parts, I get a real sense of the fiddle right away because it gives you kind of the whole range. Anyway, shall we? Not too fast? And I'm gonna backbeat this thing like you wouldn't believe. The back is gonna be beat off of you by the time we're done. So let's do it 4 times, and I'll belt it out. 1, 2, 3, go! Now I've got mass confusion happening. I can see what.
That ain't the John Brennan I got.
Oh, maybe we're doing a different one. There are many. What's the one?
Yeah, I think because Dan, you sent us a version of it. We found the cleanest dirty shirt we found that day that we were looking at it was
Okay.
yeah, it was a bit of an odd version because it had like it has like a G sharp in the B part, which
I remember now. Okay, I'll
which you called an idea.
somebody's stupid idea. We're only human. Oh, this one. Different tune altogether. I remember now. So. Okay, Lisa. So this is a different tune altogether. I'm going to send it to you right now, and it's a really good one to have, and you might already have it. Like, a second here. Okay, I just sent it off to you there now. And I'll just play it for you so you can get a sense. It's not a hard tune. It's a real easy one.
They did play this at the session on Sunday, yesterday actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and again, I was like very, very like Oh, I know this one, but it's like way too fast.
Yeah.
Getting every 10th note.
Oh, well, at least you were getting every 10th one. That's good. You got to keep shooting the Germans you can shoot. Okay. Shall we? Did you find it yet, Lisa? I just emailed it to you. I'll play it for you while you're listening. While you're.
Yeah, I got the email, but it does not have it attached.
Oh. Okay. Oh, I know what I did. Yeah. Okay. I got you the right one now. There you go. And while it comes in, I'll play it for you once so you can hear it and you can get a sense of it. I don't know. Have you ever played this tune? That's her. Now, how are you guys doing at that tempo? Is it okay?
No.
Slower?
Yeah, for
No
me.
problem.
For me.
No
I don't know
problem.
about the others, but yeah, for me,
Oh,
definitely.
it's never a problem to go slower, David. It's always a good idea. Whenever I'm doing a workshop or something at a folk festival and somebody complains about going too slow, it's usually somebody that thinks they have a little bit more skill on the fiddle than they maybe actually have. So I always point out, if you find we're going too slow, just try to play the tune in tune. See if you can keep the damn thing in tune from one end to the
Mhm.
other. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go. I'll give you a good count in. 1, 2, 3, and. Again. All right. So this is a new one for you then, Lisa. It's a very simple tune. I'm sure you noticed. Like it's very repetitive, and it's good for working on say groove or anything like that because this is basically the same thing over and over in a really nice way. Now, how did you lads do? Not
Okay.
bad.
Okay, not bad. Yeah.
That was the speed up at the end. Did that work out?
Yeah. Yep.
Good. Okay, and that speed up for your records was it's about 80.
Mm.
Okay? So when you're practicing 80's working, practice at 80, 80, 80, 80. Try a couple of times at say 90. Now I find in that range, 80 to 100, I find you don't really feel the 5 points on the metronome. You don't feel the difference in your arm. Like maybe you guys could, or would, so you can experiment. But I feel it's 10 points before you really start to feel the difference. You know, so you could try it like that, or you could
No.
bump it up, whatever way you think. Now, how did you do there, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, okay, I feel like this tune I still just need to practice more, you know, like I don't have the I practiced it and I stopped practicing it for a couple of weeks. I mean, to practice every single tune, you
Oh, you
know,
can't practice
it's
every
like,
single tune. My God, no. Then you end up like me, playing tunes
but
from.
like some tunes I feel you practice enough and you kind of bake it in and then you don't have, and then you just like you just have to, it's good the benefit of playing it over and over again, like the first time you might not get all the notes because you don't remember the notes, and then it's like it comes back to you, right? So I definitely found by the end of it, like, oh yeah, no, I remember
Oh,
this
good.
tune, but
Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
but I need.
I call that the double barreled shotgun effect. That's why double barreled shotguns have two barrels because you're shooting at birds and you don't get it with the first one, but you see where it landed and then you end up getting it with the second one. That's the whole idea behind a double barrel shotgun. That's why I've been getting people in private lessons to play tunes for me at least twice. Because everybody
Mm,
only ever plays it once and then complains about the one time that they played it. And so I'm trying to get them to play it twice because with Cape Breton it's twice, always twice. With the Irish it can be 4 or 5 times.
mm,
If the groove is going good, they'll play it 4 or 5 times. So and but like you said, Paul, by the fifth time you're really getting it. Like you're really. I used to love that about the Irish because I was trying to learn all the tunes here in Toronto. So it gave me a good few cracks at it. You know what I mean?
mm,
So, and it's a sign of a good session. If you're at a session and tunes are getting played 4 or 5 times, that's a good sign. If you're at a
mm,
session, everybody's stopping everything by 3 times through, means they're getting bored. People are getting bored, you know.
mm.
Anyway, Lisa, a request, a jig, perhaps.
How about the Cliffs of Moher?
Excellent. The Cliffs of Moher. I'm going to try a couple tempos. You're going to tell me what you like. Is that going to work?
That's good, or a little faster is fine too.
How about this? Excellent. Let's give it a go, everybody. Cliffs of Moher. Don't have it?
Don't have it.
Oh my God, you have to have this, David. This is like everybody plays this tune. I'll send it to you.
Send it to me, please, too, because I was just about to look it up on the session
No, I got a
frantically.
decent. I got a decent
Okay.
there. Okay. So that is Paul. Half of my job is just curating the session.org for people, you know? Okay, and David. Okay, it's off to you guys.
Okay, now Now, I won't get it because my tablet's upstairs.
No problem.
So, you know,
Right here.
oh, there it is.
Whoops. That's my calendar. That's very boring.
There it is. Okay, I see it.
Yeah. Okay, let me get a bit bigger and we'll do it.
Yeah, see it.
How's that?
Good, good, real
Okay.
good.
Let's do it. We'll take her slow for these guys that have never tried it before there, and that gives you a chance to work on your bowing, Lisa. 1, 2, 3, go. Little faster. All right, now this tune is ubiquitous. Everybody plays it. I played it since I was about 10 in Cape Breton. They play it here in Toronto. All the Irish people, it's nuts. Everybody plays it. They played it down the States, so it's a good one to have. Okay? And also the Cliffs at Moher are amazing. I've been there a couple times. My brother Paul has the best story. He was touring in Ireland with Jerry Holland, and they rented a camper van, which I thought was a very good idea. And so they were playing in Dingle, and they went to the Cliffs of Moher because they have a parking lot there where you can park your RV if you want, and it's right on the edge of the cliff. So they park the RV, and everybody's trying to go to sleep. And Jerry was a terrible snorer, and he was snoring so much my brother Paul couldn't handle it. So he took his sleeping bag and he went out and slept on his sleeping mat on the pavement. And it was really foggy, and that's what they say about the Cliffs of Moher. Like, you can only see them once in a while. And it was really, really foggy, so he went to sleep. He woke up the next morning, and he was about this far from the edge of the cliffs of Moher.
Ooh, ooh.
Jerry was snoring away there in the camper beside him. Now, how did you get along there, Lisa? Was it good?
Yeah, that was a tune that we played a lot in upstate New York. It was like my favorite jig. So,
Oh, it's awesome. I love it. There's a lot you can do with it. I always do a great big roll. So you see, there's a few things, obvious things, rolls, and a few other stylistic things you can do with it that are very common to do. Okay, I think I've tortured you guys enough for tonight. It's yes, David.
Okay, just one question. Just when you were playing it there the last time,
Yeah.
again, a lot of up bows on beat one, you know. Um,
Oh yeah. Well, in the second part, I do this move right because the melody goes. When you do that all in one bow, oh, I love that. You hear that? And then I give a little emphasis. See that? More of that slide I was talking about earlier. See that? Bring her to life there. So that's why you're seeing that.
okay,
It's a
got it.
specific move.
Yep.
And it's a good move. It's another thing about Irish playing, especially if notes are on the same string, they kind of play it all in one bow because when, like, for instance, see that? When you pull your fingers off the string, it's a great sound. You get that nice poppy sound. And the Irish guys are always doing that. If there's a few notes on one string, they'll do it in one bow, so you get that percussive action of the fingers against the string. See that?
Okay, now that's particularly an Irish thing now.
It's
That
more of
that's
an
not a
Irish.
Cape Breton thing.
Absolutely no. We don't do that in Cape Breton. No. In Cape
No,
Breton,
that's
we just
fine.
be sawing away at it all the time. I call it out now. Like I said, I've been playing this tune since I was about 10. Here's how we did it in Cape Breton. See that? Just straight downy uppy for the most part. And
Yeah.
lots of dirt, lots of downbeat. Slightly different, but
Yeah.
same
No, that's
rhythm.
good. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, that was a great time tonight, guys. I love all those questions and topics to talk about, and so. But next time when the ladies get back, we'll have to get back to like straight up grinding away at it. All right. Be prepared.
Okay.
Prepare your right arms for next time. See you later.
Okay, take care.